Rick, it's so good to see you.
Hey, good morning, Keith. How are you today?
Yeah, awesome. I get to see you, man. It's been a minute. It's been
You're
a
so
minute.
kind.
That minute, it's been 6 weeks, man. We've all missed you. There's not a week that goes by that Pete, Brian, and I are not talking about you, man. We love you dearly, and you're just such a blessing to our lives.
I missed you guys, man. It's tough being on the road with all strangers, but refreshing too. It's great to be back in the fold. Love it.
Oh, it's great, Rick. So the title of this podcast is "This Stuff Is Not Supposed to Be in Here," and that is a title that is really about that's reflective of like what's inside of us. You know, the hate, the negativity, the victimhood mentality, all those scars and hurts and stuff from the past that we didn't let pass through us, the judgment, all those things. Like, guess what? They're not supposed to be in there. Like, so why are they in there? For the longest time, I thought, well, because things have happened to me. Well, things happen to everybody. Some people have really developed the capacity to remove those blockages. And so that's what I didn't do. That's why all the stuff was in there for so long in my life, is that I was holding on to them. And as I started to work on myself and recognize that I'm at work today, I should be turned on. Like this should be excited. Oh, we're short staffed. What that's got to do with me? Like I should be turned on. So if I'm holding on to us being short staffed, then I'm the one who's making my ability to experience another have another relationship with this moment. I'm the one who's doing that because I'm holding on to something that's outside of my control, like being short staffed. You know, my parents got divorced, when I was 13 or 14 years old. Like for some people, divorce was a tragedy. For me, divorce was like, yeah, man, we can finally move on with our lives. My stepfather's out of the picture now, right? So it's different for everybody. But if I would have held on to that, that'd have been stuff that I held on to. And I know people, I have a friend whose mom got divorced 30 years ago, Rick, and she's still talking about the divorce from 30 years ago. She should have stayed married, if that was the case. And so that stuff that's inside, be really clear, it's not supposed to be in there. If you're upset about an in-law, you're upset about that. It's not supposed to be in there. There should be nothing but love, like flowing and springing from you. And so if that's not what's happening, it's not an outside problem. This is an inside problem. And so what do you do about it? You work on removing those blocks, work on doing that. And that's something that I've really dedicated myself to. I have a new manager that's starting. And guess what? Keith 1.0 said, that's going to be a problem. You're going to lose all kind of choice and autonomy. I haven't had one day with the manager. I don't know what it's going to be like. It might be a blast. And if it's not, I'm not going to block it, right? I'm not going to do that myself. We play pickleball on Saturdays, and the old Keith would have treated that like our snow trips. Oh my God, there's no snow. I don't know, going there, it's going to be a problem. Like, it doesn't have to be a problem. It's going to rain, so we're not going to play pickleball today. There's a lot of other things to do besides play pickleball today. Like if I'm not enjoying this moment, if I'm not getting the full benefit of this moment, it's because I got stuff that's in the way. And it's not the world's job or, to do what I think it should be done. It's my job to remove my blocks to this flow of love, this flow of joy, this connection with human beings. So what, they voted for somebody different than I did. It's my job to not let that be a reason to why I still can't see the humanity in that person. So my all day, man, I'm just making sure that I'm removing those blocks so that I can really take full advantage of this limited time that we have on the planet. Rick, what are your thoughts?
I continue to always check myself when I feel that I'm in the dumps. I can trace it back to having a desire that the world isn't fulfilling for me. That's
Right.
always, if
Right.
I'm feeling out of sorts, it's because I want something and nobody's giving it to me. You know,
Yes.
so the source of your suffering is the expectation, right? The expectation that the manager is going to be a limiting factor in your life and prevent you from getting further along in your career. That's an expectation. It's also a
Mhm.
fantasy. It's also an illusion, right? I mean, it
Right.
could happen, but then you'll deal with it when it happens. But the idea is that the expectation and the desire for it to be different than what it is the cause of personal suffering. So when I'm feeling, like I say, down in the dumps or a little bit blue, or I just don't feel like things are quite right, I start looking at myself and what's happening in my life, and usually I can trace it back to, oh yeah, yeah, I wanted 10 grand out of that case, and I ended up getting zero, or I ended up getting 1,000, or
Right.
I wanted to get a beautiful thank you card for, something that I did for somebody. My ego wants that reinforcement, and I didn't get that, so I'm feeling bad. And when I'm when I'm careful and honest with myself about what it is that's upsetting me, it usually comes back to me wanting something I didn't get, a desire that's unfulfilled, or an expectation that hasn't been met by the world or another person. And that is always, always going to be for me a big hammer and, but also at the same time, an alarm that it
Yeah.
makes me focus. Okay, you're still in the mud. You're still in the mud. If you're run by your expectations, you will continue to suffer. Go ahead. Go ahead, Rick. Go ahead. Have some more suffering. Here's 3 more pounds. You can
Yeah.
waste another day, another hour. Go ahead. And so when you put it in those terms, it's like, wait a minute, I don't want to do that. I want to be up and doing my thing. So anyway, I agree with you, Keith. I think that, what we're talking about are things that don't have to be there,
Yeah.
and they're there because our ego puts them there, and that we like. I find in myself, I like my traumas. I'm really happy to talk about them, and I'm really proud of how I came through. I mean, the idea is that we're all, as humans, we all have excuses about why we do what we do, and maybe they're valid, maybe they aren't. But the point is, even if they are valid, so what?
Yeah.
You have a life to live, and do you want to continue to be run by the things that have happened to you? Or do you want to be run by something you're controlling, which is not having that desire, that
Yeah.
expectation that other people do certain things for you or behave in a certain way in order for you to be happy? That's that's a false narrative, and it's an illusion. And here's the other thing. It ain't gonna happen.
It's not. It's not.
It's gonna happen. So, you're kind of wasting your time.
Yeah. Yeah. Newsflash. Yeah. Yeah. You said it, Rick. When yeah, anything that I'm feeling inside, or that's not love, that's not kindness, that's not a sense of shared humanity for other people, a gratitude. If I'm not feeling that stuff, man, and I'm feeling the opposite, that stuff is not supposed to be in there. That is not supposed to be in here. Something. So why is it here? Because I'm keeping it here. I'm keeping it here. That's why it's here. It's not what somebody else did. No, 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 no. My stepfather, no, no. My mother, no, 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 not that. My boss, no, no. My coworker, no. My wife, no. My girlfriend, no, 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 no. Start over. That's not it. That is here because I'm doing it. And so you can say to yourself, like, well, but they are this way. But you won't. It's the weekend. Your boss is not even here now. Like you're the weekend, like you're at the kids' game, like you're doing this now. Like when you start to look at it like that, I'm doing this. Well, kids' birthday is coming up. I know my mother-in-law is going to do this, and kid's birthday is 2 months away from now. Like you're disturbing yourself about this moment right now. Like you're doing this, and you start to like get really like hip to like what's going on. Like it didn't have to be this way, and it's this way because I'm allowing it to be this way. And then once you become aware that the way out is for you to start letting this stuff go.
Yeah.
It really, like you start letting it go, man. It's just amazing. I made all of that like such a priority, Rick. Man, it is so beautiful inside, Rick. It's so beautiful inside. I
Don't
make
you
you
don't you feel,
know,
Keith, when you let go of those expectations, or the way that your mind thinks it's going to roll, it kind of opens up
oh
possibilities, right?
man,
You have this world, you have this enormous spectrum of ways that you can behave and approach life. But when you're trapped by your expectations, you're controlled by those limited expectations. If you take those out, then the whole spectrum of available options opens to you. And you
Yeah.
don't have to be run by that. Your heart can fill with other things. Your heart can be open to a different experience. Or you can literally role play and have a new experience
Yeah.
instead of what you're used to, what you're programmed or have been programmed to do.
Yeah, absolutely, Rick. When I think about the stuff that's inside, I say to myself, like, what would this experience be like if I let that go?
Yeah, there you go.
Oh my
Yeah.
God. Like it's a completely different experience. Like, oh, the restaurant lighting is so dark in here. What would happen if I let that go? Man, I become really present to the person who's sitting across from me that I'm talking to. If I let that go. Or, I was had a dinner meeting this week, and there was a kid behind me, a baby. They seated this party of 8 with 2 toddlers in high chairs, and they have these to go receptacles that you can put food in, and it's aluminum. So the kid is back there banging it like it's a tambourine.
Yeah.
And I look back over my shoulder. I was like, don't you, don't you store that? And
Yeah.
about why you bring the kid out to this restaurant, and like, can't you control that kid? Give this kid something that's soft, like a teddy bear, and let them bait. No, all I said was, man, if you let that go, you can be really present to this conversation. And I let it go. That kid,
Beautiful.
that kid kept right on doing what that kid was doing. But I was so clear that I'm not putting that stuff in this moment. I'm not doing it. I'm not ruining this moment with my colleague. I'm not doing that. And so I'm just all day, man. I'm just like, oh man, like, well done, Keith. You were aware. You were aware that you were just about to throw this moment away, and you didn't do it.
That's a great example. That's a perfect example. And there are kids banging on aluminum in every different form in traffic, how your spouse reacts to something, how your boss treats you. That's a kid banging on the aluminum.
Right? Exactly.
You're going to have 10 of those today, right? So right
Exactly.
now, as soon as I hang up today, there's going to be a guy who's fixing to cut me off on the freeway. No doubt about it. And flip me off at the same time. He's getting ready. I got a meeting with him in an hour.
That's right.
All right.
That's
So
right.
my point is you're going to have those things.
That's
What
right.
are you going to do? What are you going to,
Exactly.
get caught up in all of that? You're going to get caught
Exactly.
up.
Exactly. Your significant other is not going to say "I love you" the way you want to hear it. They're not going to do some's going to happen. Something's going to happen. Know that that's going to happen. What are you
Yeah.
going
And
to
then your choice is, do I let it go and live the life that I want to live? Or am I going to get caught up in it and I'm going to cut him off back, flip him off back?
Exactly.
I
Exactly.
mean, come on. I mean,
Yeah.
seriously,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
only got
Man,
so
come
much,
on. What are we, 2? Come on, man.
and you only have so much time on the planet, right? And it's a choice of how you want to spend your time.
I'm not
If
spending it
you
doing
can
that.
do that, you can, yeah, go ahead.
That's one way to do it.
Nothing's stopping you. Most people do. Go
Yeah.
ahead. See where
Exactly.
that brings you, peace and happiness.
It won't. It won't. Rick, thank you so much, man. I love you, man.
I love you, Keith. That was a good show. Thanks. Thanks.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. See you next time.
See you next time, Rick.